Thank you. First of all, I must congratulate Dr. R.K. Pachori. This is the 13th World Conference on Sustainable Development. And through the years, I have seen this summit grow to its present level. And I think we have very hard times ahead. We have to put in more effort. We have to bring in more technology. We have to bring in more innovations to see that we can literally light the billion lives in the world. The fact remains that sustainable development means that we require the resources to bring light in the lives of the people. At the same time, we can't do without conservation of ecology and yet development. Can we do without exploitation of natural resources? Can we do without exploitation of our energy resources, which has a time frame? We have to look beyond that, and I think the effort which the TERI has made in promoting the renewable sources of energy is the answer for a sustainable development. I think what I've said is not a paradox or contradiction by itself. I think both are important. On one side, we have to conserve our ecology, we have to conserve our environment, yet we cannot do without exploitation of natural resources. So therefore, the issue is how best we can do sustainable development without really disturbing the ecology or the environment is the key issue.
Right. Dr. Pachori, as a journalist and of course as a citizen of India, the first thing that comes to mind is when you see extreme poverty and you see darkness, you feel that this is the job of the government, the first thing that comes to mind. And somewhere down the line, of course, the government has its programs and it does what it does, and I'm sure it does to its ever best. But the fact remains, somewhere down the line, things are lacking. So when you started this program, what was it in your mind? And how was it that the government aided you in your thought?
Well, firstly, we're all citizens of planet Earth. We're citizens of this country. And we can't possibly be blind to the problems that have been lingering far longer than was really justified. And today, technology makes it possible, if you have the institutional capabilities by which you can bring technology to the doorstep of people, you can really alter their lives in the right direction. You take the example of mobile phones. Look at the rapid rate at which that particular technology has spread, and it has made an enormous difference. Farmers are able to find out about prices, they get information about the weather, and so on and so forth. So I think the time has come when we have to think out of the box. And we have been blinded for much too long in copying, emulating the model of development that you have in other parts of the world. And I think this initiative, which is really very small and humble at this point of time, is merely an attempt to think out of the box and make the best use of science and technology for the benefit of the people who are otherwise going to be deprived. In fact, while I have the mic, let me take this opportunity of asking Digvijaya Singh ji. He has done so much to bring Panchayati Raj in the state of Madhya Pradesh and for strengthening that very basic grassroots institution. How can we bring about technological upgradation in the lives of our villagers through the mobilization of our Panchayat institutions?
Well, my own experience has been that you really can't have one model which fits all. you have to look at the resources available at the lowest level and how best they can be exploited so that whatever the initiatives the government has started, how best they can be implemented. My own experience has been that until and unless you involve the stakeholders, nothing works. You have to create a vested interest among the stakeholders so that they feel that it's their task, their initiative, and their program. I think Panchayati Raj has its own advantages, yet its own disadvantages. So therefore, I would go down to the lowest level of involving the stakeholders. And once you have the local conditions, you have to innovate how best it can be implemented, how best you can involve technology for that specific location and implement whatever the initiative is. For example, you have started the process of giving solar lanterns to the rural areas. Now, therefore, there are areas in India which have sunshine for a longer period and some which don't have for such a long time. So therefore, each location will have to be, you will have to cater for in your program. The second thing is, of course, we have to keep abreast with the new technologies coming in, new innovations coming in. And once you have those in your mind, you have to think globally and act locally. And when you are acting locally, you cannot ignore the social character of the village that you are looking at, the natural resources that are available, and also at the same time, the capacity for the stakeholders to absorb and execute. My own experience has been that we always underestimate the initiative of the illiterate people and the common sense of the illiterate people in the remotest of villages. They have immense common sense. If you discuss the schemes, if you draw up your, and you sort of make a scheme after due consultation with the stakeholders and with the people of that area, I think the chances of success of these schemes is much better.
I think that's a wonderful statement. In fact, I must inform all of you that Shri Digvijaya Singh is truly the son of the soil. He's done so much in rural development, and you must read about this in various columns written, reams of paper have been spread about it. Sir, you know, all throughout the day we had discussions, and 3 I's, what I took out as a sum up, for sustainability. One is involvement, and you mentioned that, a sense of engagement. The second is incentivization, is to incentivize, and thereby try and encourage people to be aware of it. The third thing, the most critical part, was implementation. Most of the people thought they had the plans in place, they had the policies by and large in place, the implementation was missing. Do you agree with that?
You see, as I pointed out to you, you can't sort of impose your will or impose your schemes from Delhi down to the remotest areas of this country. You have to draw up a broad parameters, what your intention is, what your intent is, and then allow the local people to absorb what you propose to do, how you can implement, how you can sort of can provide credit or provide an incentive to meet the objective which you have given to them. So therefore, I think what the TERI has evolved by giving incentive to the person in a village who would be lending the solar lanterns at a cost to the users, and then the charging would come back to him. For charging, it will come back to him. So it's a model where one person is looking after the charging, and then it is a model which is sustainable itself because it is economically viable for, say, a person having 50 lanterns if he is lending it out to the 50 households, And I'm sure, absolutely sure, that a person in a household would not mind in paying a certain amount of money per day if there is light in his house when there is total darkness all around. Because today, most of the fuel that is being used in rural areas where you don't have electricity, the source is kerosene. And the kerosene, of course, is becoming more and more expensive. And therefore, I think solar lantern model that you have initiated, Dr. Pachori, which is economically viable. So therefore, I think what you have said is absolutely correct. Involvement, and then at the same time, you have to incentivize, and the implementation has to be by the stakeholders. Don't impose any scheme from Delhi.
Right, the three eyes have to be. And the last word from the minister. Ma'am, if today in this forum there's one wish that you'd want, what would it be? Okay, I'll give you two wishes.
No, I'll answer to just one. I would want that there should be electricity throughout India, and there should be light so that the little girls who are not being educated have a future, and they also get light and they can get educated, which is, I will again say that Himachal Pradesh has really achieved that. Our little girls are being educated, while in Rajasthan and many other states, they are lacking behind.
So I think for that we'll lead many Dr. Pachoris and many Dr. Digvijaya Singhs. And thank you so much.
One more thing
Yes,
I would
sir.
like to give a suggestion to Dr. Pachori is, you see, today also, 80% of the cooking energy is based on cow dung in rural areas. They are burning cow dung, which can sort of fertilize their fields. I think this country has a great opportunity where they can use biogas from cow dung and human toilets. It is a viable model, and doing this, you will not only enrich the soil by using the manure, at the same time, you would be meeting the needs of the hundreds and thousands of millions of households who are now dependent either on cow dung or wood as a fuel, and both are not really good for the health, and you are losing out on millions and millions of good organic manure which can really enrich the soil.
I'm happy to inform Shri Digvijaya Singh ji that we have developed cook stoves that are extremely efficient, and people can use wood, they can use biomass, and it gives you hardly any pollution at all. It's highly efficient. So with the same quantity of biomass, you can use the cook stove for a long period of time. It also gives you much better quality heating. In fact, Hafiz, you are here. We should get some time from Digvijaya Singh ji so that we can show him this, because that's going to be our next campaign.
Sorry to interrupt. What I'm talking about is the biogas.
Biogas is, of course, an enormous resource.
Biogas is a resource that is already there. You just have to sort of, already Government of India is giving subsidies.
Yes.
But those subsidies are not a viable model. We'll have to rework the whole thing.
Right.
So the models are viable, doable, and of course a sustained awareness campaign amongst the people.
I think it's so wonderful, and that's the reason why we have events like that, to get suggestions like that. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Pachori, for being with us.